Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Trap Chat Presents the new She Suite, Trap Queens Redefining Success. I am joined today by a dynamo, my soror from South Carolina, a dynamic person, mommy, helper to me, because without her, I wouldn't have half of these assets, media assets that I have. I knew nothing about branding, but we're going to get into that. So for those of you who don't know, I am joined by Lashawn Dreher. She is a marketing strategist, creating human connections and experiences for innovators and intentional brands. She's the former founder of Black Women Hustle, trademark, don't try steal it. She built a global networking platform for a collective of over 110,000 Black women, entrepreneurs, professionals, and creative. You could see her with brands like Meetup, Thinketh, and Essence. They saw her expertise and culture-forward storytelling methods. Welcome.
Thank you.
I should say welcome back, because you
right, because this is not my first rodeo.
It isn't. And again, I am so grateful for you. You are one of the first people to take a chance on me and amplify my voice, and I will be forever indebted and forever grateful to you. So thank you.
Just know the feeling is mutual.
Okay. They don't think. See, y'all keep trying to unblow my image as a thug. Like, I really am a thug.
And we love to see it.
Y'all too. Y'all like it when I act wild. So I'm gonna bring that energy today. All right.
A little professional key is like what I like to call it. That's
okay. All right. I like it. All right, so first question I've been asking all of the trap queens is success is often defined in traditional linear terms, like what's your job title? How much money do you make? Where do you live? What kind of car you drive? How do you define and measure success, and how have your definitions evolved throughout your career journey?
I like to define it in terms of a measurement. So to me, success is measured by impact. And it has everything to do with how I impact the people that whatever this initiative or event or program is intended for. And in the past, of course, I had the traditional perception of success, and it was what was taught. You know, everybody thought you were successful if you had money or if you had material things, but it always brought me back to that interview with Bob Marley, where he was like, are you a rich man? And he was like, possessions make you rich. Like that doesn't make me a rich man. And I'm like, that is literally how I've started to view success as I've grown and as I've learned, but especially in terms of business, because I can have the accolades, I can have the features and publications and whatnot, but what does that do for the people I'm trying to serve? If there's nothing there, I need to make an impact some way, somehow. I need to do something or present something that's going to change people's lives or their careers or businesses, or, even especially the personal life. I'll say the personal life more than anything, because we can support one another in terms of business, but I need that personal impact as well. I need to know that you're building stronger relationships after an encounter with me or coming to one of my events. I need to know that you're making more money after we have a conversation about how you're going to pivot with this marketing strategy. So to me, success is measured by the impact that I get to make on other people in their lives.
And I can tell you are successful and you are making a positive impact, because impact can go both ways.
Thank you.
Let's take it back to where I met you, Black Women Hustle. You built, again, I gotta say every time, trademark. You built Black Women Hustle into a global platform connecting, as I said, over 110,000 Black women. What role did trust play in creating such a powerful network, and how did you establish credibility with your community at the beginning?
Oh man, I could go down a rabbit hole with trust, because trust was not hard to come by when it came to Black Women Hustle. It was hard to trust people because a lot of people wanted what I had. And it's like, but I'm here for you, sis. Why? I'm trying to trust you. Like, I'm trying to build with you. But, it's one of those things that's required, because in order to build, we have to trust one another. In order to, I need to let you in the back end of my website, or, give you my information or my flyer and trust you to pass this information on. Or, there's trust is required in every aspect, and was required in every aspect of Black Women Hustle, and especially when building those relationships. But I think the credibility came with other women trusting me to do exactly what I said. I'm telling you, submit your information here and we'll push it. I'm going to put you in a directory. I'm going to mention your name in rooms when you aren't there. I'm going to slide in somebody's DM and tell them, hey, I know someone who will be perfect for this opportunity that you just shared. So the credibility was formed by me doing exactly what I told women I would do, and them then telling other people, this is a platform you need to be connected to, because they're putting us on, they're taking us places, they're giving us opportunities that we haven't seen yet. And it was literally off the strength of trusting us and trusting me specifically to keep my word. And, what is it? 4 agreements, be impeccable with your word. And that was one of those things that sat with me as I, of course, kept building Black Women Hustle. But I'm just like, you have to keep your word in order to sustain that trust. But trust to me was the core of how I wanted to build Black Women Hustle, but it's also what sustained it, because I trusted other women not only to show up, but to be a part of it and engage in ways that made them feel seen, heard, and understood. And I had to trust myself to sustain it. So it's always played a part in it, but it's one of those things that I'm grateful that women trusted me to do.
I love that. So that's a great segue to my next question, because it is about networking, and you are the networking maven, trademark.
The trademark is going to take me out every time.
Listen, I love bigging up other people. Like, that's my favorite thing, when I get to tell people how fabulous they are, in case they forgot. All right. So many people do network with the goal of immediate gain.
Yeah.
You, however, have built platforms centered on long-term relationships. How do you guide entrepreneurs and brands to shift their mindset from short-term transactions to fostering lasting, mutually beneficial connections?
So, of course, there's a networking maven trademark, because, there's networking in general. And then there's me as a marketer. When I say, and you read my bio and it says creating human connections and experiences, that is exactly how I do it. I make sure the brands I'm working with know we can't look at people, or even just individuals. You can't look at people as a business transaction. You can't look at everything as so systematic. You have to realize you are dealing with a human, especially in times like now where there's a lot of AI and artificial and automation, and everything requires us to just detach. And to me, it removes the emotional aspect out of things, because you're just letting everything do the work for you. And then when you connect with people in person, it's like, are you thinking about a business transaction right now? Are you thinking about what you can gain right now? Or are you thinking about what it looks like to actually build a relationship with this person? Because this could actually be something greater than both of us imagine. This could go past me paying you one time and then we never speak again. You never know. That could lead to a whole partnership, $1 million partnership, but it's like people are immediately focused on the dollar or getting what they need out of the situation, versus understanding that I'm dealing with a person. So let me get to know them. Let me understand them a little bit more and handle them with care. And when it comes to networking, I feel like you have to approach it that way. You have to approach it from a very human aspect, instead of just thinking everything is straight business or straight transactional, even if it is a business setting. Like, you're dealing with a person at the end of the day. So I need you to adjust yourself, adjust your heart posture, and approach it as such.
Ooh. Adjust your heart posture. I am adding that to my lexicon. Thank you so much. Moving on to the A in TRAP. In what ways did accountability to yourself and to your audience shape the pivot to launching your new company, A Creative Marketing Co?
Oh, man. In every way possible. It required me to be accountable, first and foremost, because it's just like, okay, if business is going a certain way, if you're attracting certain clients and you realize this isn't what I want anymore, I have to take accountability for the fact that I'm still accepting these clients. I'm still accepting these types of projects. I'm still accepting things that no longer feel good to me. So it's just like, when do you change it? you have to hold yourself accountable and say, it's time for something better. It's time for more. It's time for different. But also realizing that I knew who I wanted to serve. I wanted to serve them better. I wanted to represent myself better and represent the company better in a way that made people feel like this is a brand I can trust. This is a brand I know will deliver results. So I feel like the accountability came down on me hard when it came to the pivot to make the change, because it's like, if you want to be in the same situation a year from now or 2 years from now, by all means, keep doing what you're doing. Like, yeah, keep digging this little hole of misery. But the accountability kicked in when I realized I am the one who has to make the change. It's not the clients. It's not that they did anything wrong. It's just when I realized that I want to position my brand a certain way and I want to make a pivot, I'm the one who has to take action. So accountability, I'm like, even today, the accountability still sits with me. I still have to look around and think, do I want to do this? I recently had a client who sent me an email, or a former client. I said consistent client.
Okay.
Because we do different projects. Like, we just do, like, she'll pop up and be like, hey, I'm working on this and I want to pull you in. And she sent me an email. She sent me an email a couple of weeks ago, and she was just like, here's a list of all the things that I don't want to touch. Let me know what you're interested in doing. And everything on that list I've done before. I've done all of that for her specifically before as well. And the longer I looked at it, I was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do this part of it. And I told her, these are the specific ones I want to do. Because if I would have said yes to that, then I would have been accountable for delivering all these things. It would have taken me longer. I would have been sending messages saying, there's a delay. And how slack is that? On a professional level like that, it just doesn't look good. So I was just like, let's be honest about what we want and how we approach this, and have some accountability in this work, and tell her, this is what we'll do. This is what I'll do. But everything else, of course, I can help you find somebody else. But the accountable person in me says, take on what you can and leave the rest for somebody who wants to.
That's huge. No. I don't think people understand how huge that is. And did you feel any guilt, saying, because I felt guilt before when I've said, well, I know it's something I can do, but it's not necessarily something that is aligned for me to do at the time, or something that's going to put more things on my plate than I actually have room to hold. So did you feel any guilt when you were like, yeah, no, I'm not going? I aspire. Ooh,
not at all. And the guilt was kicking in a little bit when I first hesitated on the message, because I read it, and like, it's like, you look at something and you're just like, how do I say no? How do I tell her no? And I'm like, this is a long list, and these are not small tasks. Like, this is a whole platform we're talking about, like Black Women Hustle level. And it's just like, that's a lot of work. And if I'm being truthful with myself, the answer is no. Like, you can't do this. If you have people come in and assist, sure you can. But I'm like, I don't feel bad, because I'm being honest about it. And I'd rather be honest about it and deliver what I know I'm capable of delivering than telling you yes. And now we got delays and we got work that don't even look like it's the quality it should be, because I'm over here piecing things together out of the sake of getting it done, instead of doing something and building with my heart. Because I like to create from an authentic place. And if I'm excited about something, like, baby, we about to go all out. But when my heart is not in it, when my mind is not in it, I'm going to struggle. And it's not a space I like to be in anymore. I'm okay with saying no. I've always been okay with saying no, but I feel like even more so now, I've come to a place of knowing who I am and what I want and what I excel at. And I'm like, I'm sticking with that. I'm not about to sit here and define myself, for the sake of $1 or whatever it may be. Like, I'm doing what I truly want to do.
I love that. I got to remember that I'm the one that even said no is next opportunity. So we can all say no a little bit more to get to the
I
next
need
thing?
people to be comfortable saying
Ooh,
no. Like that's a whole, I know it's a whole conversation, especially in terms of boundaries. I've said no since
yeah.
I was a child, though. People always call me defiant, but I'm like, they call you like a bad kid or whatever. But as an adult, I look back and I realize God gave me boundaries and I had no
There
idea that
you
I
go.
had them at such a young age. And I'm so glad. I'll take the criticism, I'll take the harsh feedback or whatever. But at the end of the day, I told you no to something that I knew I did not want to do. And you couldn't force
Mm,
me into doing something or being somebody I wasn't.
I love it. Another great segue to my next question. So, you have a culture forward storytelling method that takes
Yeah.
a proactive approach to marketing by ensuring brands stay ahead of the curve. How do you anticipate cultural shifts, amplify Black women's voices in a way that resonates authentically, and position your clients as leaders who drive conversations rather than just reacting to them?
Oh, man. I feel like, first of all, the culture, Black women drive the culture forward. So, in terms of amplifying our voices, we do that on our own. There's nothing or no one else that does it for us. If you take a hard look, any other demographic, any industries, any companies, nobody does it for us the way that we do it. And the way that I like to approach it is to make sure that first my clients, because I primarily work with Black women, but I like to make sure they understand that before they start trying to let's go work with this person, let's go connect with this person. Well, let's stop and look at what we're doing for ourselves first. Let's see how we can talk to your audience first before we try to get anybody else to reach them, because we are talking to Black women. We are working with Black women. No one understands us like us. And when you see all this content and everything out here, if you really pay attention to it, everything is heavily influenced by Black women. Like it is us who started the trends. I don't even want to say starting trends, because for us it's a lifestyle. Like a lot of the things people are doing that they're creating trends around, this is lifestyle for Black women. The long nails and the designs, baby, take us back to the 90s. That was an everyday occurrence. Like we saw it all the time, everywhere. But I try to get Black women, the ones that I work with, I try to get them to remember that these are the stories we want to tell. We want to tell the ones that are relatable. But I feel like those are the ones that position us to continue to be leaders. It continues to show that we are the culture leaders. That always say it, Black women are the blueprint. And I make sure everybody knows it in everything that we do. I make sure that people see it in not only in just the work, but in the ways that we show up in our daily lives. Like this isn't an act. It isn't a trend. Like I said, this is literally who we are. And I think the goal is always to make sure we're positioned so people recognize that and they never mistake it.
Yeah, I love that answer. Thank you so much. I get a little sad because we're at the last question in the main part.
I'm like, we could go on
Before
about
we
anything.
can, but I think people get sick of me after a while.
How could they ever? How could they ever, Houston?
Hey, it is what it is. Okay, thinking about our theme, the new She Suite, and your work being at the intersection of social impact and innovation, how do you envision platforms like yours evolving to empower the next generation of Black women in creating meaningful, lasting impact?
Oh man, I think when I started Black Women Hustle, what was it, 2018? There were plenty of platforms out, but now I think if you get on social media, you see dozens to hundreds of platforms like the ones I've created. And I think now women are realizing it's not easy, but it's not as difficult as it seems at the same time. And I think they're understanding that they can too have a voice, share that voice fearlessly, and show up in ways to make that impact. And everybody has something that they're passionate about, whether they say it publicly or they show it in little ways in what they share and whatnot, or even the events and initiatives that they show up for. everybody has something that they want to make an impact in or for. So I think now that they're seeing more of it and it's more of a consistent thing, we're going to see them leading the charge. We're going to see them making an impact. And that's honestly is what I hope to see. I feel like I'm seeing it already, but I really do think that our presence and the more consistent presence of more platforms like this are going to be the ones that make the impact that women need to see. I think the future generations got it, if I'm being honest. A lot of people give them hell, but I'm like, if you really pay attention to it, they are really creative. Like they're really creative, especially the ones who tap back into the 90s and 80s culture. They've studied it and you can tell when they've studied it. And I'm like, the kid's going to be all right. Like the kids. I think they'll be all right.
And this is something that stuck for me when I was invited into your space, because you're the generation behind me, and I'm X. And if you remember, I was the one, I challenged my fellow generation people to do the work that we hadn't already done. And also leave these people alone. Like, stop trying to do what they do. Like, you do you. Like, stop stealing their stuff. Stop making TikTok videos doing the dances that they created and trying to take over their work. Like, knock it off. That is not cute. Your knees blew out in the 99 and the 2000. So let it go. Baby, stop.
Knock it off will always be funny to me. I don't know why. Knock it off will always be funny to me. But I remember that conversation, and there was a lady, my brother gave her a nickname at the event, and it wasn't like a Turkish nickname. She reminded us of a woman named Saverna back home. So he kept calling her Saverna, and it just it took the life out of me. But I remember her standing up, and I think she responded to what you said, because she was talking about how older women need to embrace like the younger generation. I think there's a lot of people, and not even just your generation. I think there are a lot of people who like to son people who are younger than them. And it's just like, y'all have to understand that everybody can learn from anybody. Yeah. Anybody can teach you a lesson. We could be around toddlers and they teach us lessons in patience all the time. Like you can be around anybody of any age in any mental capacity and they will teach you a lesson. And I wholeheartedly believe that if more women in general just looked at life from that perspective and looked at relationships from that perspective, there would definitely be more unity. I'm here for the fun and the TikToks or whatever.
No. I think it's fine. What I'm saying is that, like, if it's not you, like let's be honest.
You can tell.
And you and I had that conversation when it came to, the way that you created my branding and how I was going to present myself, because there were a lot of things you were like, oh, well, here's this. I was like, well, I don't like that. Like, I don't do that. I'm not going to create this type of content if it's not even something I consume. Like, that's weird, Right. But what I do put out and what you actually gave me more confidence is to be the person that I really am, and not trying to alter it so that I could fit into other people's boxes. Just be myself.
Yeah. But I think that comes with not knowing who you are. Like, not that part specifically, but the desire to do and show up in spaces that this is not your space. Like, this is not your lane.
Correct.
Like it really comes from knowing yourself, because if you know who you are, I don't have no business over here. Like, this is not my cup of tea. Like what we just talked about with Insecure. Like, if you feel aged out from it, then
I didn't watch it, and it didn't get to participate in a lot of conversations because I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm cheering for everybody on the show. I think Issa Rae is a talented person, but it's not for me, and that's fine. It's not for me.
Yeah, I feel like everybody feels that way about something. Like, be it a show, music, artist, like whatever it is. Like, you're not about to find me right around listening to Boss Man D-Lo, but much love to him.
I don't even know what that is. I was like, what did she say? I was like, what did she even say? What is Boss Man D-Lo?
A whole artist out here, but but it's just like everybody has their I don't want to say they're lame, because I believe in switching lanes when you feel the need to, but you know what's for you.
Yes,
and when you realize something is not, then I need you to get up and move away from it and go somewhere where you can actually enjoy it, but also not just appreciate it, but also be appreciated for how you show up.
I love that. I love it. Okay, it's time for a rapid fire. I'm gonna get off my soapbox for a minute. And let you have it. Let you have your own stage for yourself.
Oh my goodness.
Who is a well-known or lesser-known historical or contemporary woman who inspires you and we should learn more about?
I'm going to tap you back in anyway. The general public might not know her or of her, but as Delta women, we do.
Yes.
Bertha Pitts Campbell.
Yes.
And the more I've done research on Bertha Pitts Campbell, her history, the stories I've read, I'm like, that's it right there. I feel like everybody has a figure. If you do the research, if you know something, there's something you want to do or in a field you want to be in, if you start doing the research, you'll find figures who consistently pop up. And it's just like, start looking into them, because you may find the answers to some of the things you're looking for, but they may also inspire you to take action. For me, Bertha Pitts Campbell is one of those women, because I'm like, okay, there's Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, of course. But then when you look at the stories within, women are talking about how they went to stay at her house. And she's just like, you need some food, you need an outfit. And even what she did in communities, providing housing and education. And I'm like, that is how I would love to show up for people. I feel like I show up for people in that way now.
You too.
Just not on the, not that big of a scale yet. You know what I mean? She's like nationwide with it. And I'm like, I show up in ways like that, but to be able to have that kind of impact on people to where people trust you enough and you trust them enough to let them come and stay in your house. I'm not there yet, Bertha. But
it's a different time. It's a different time.
I'm not there yet. I said this last Women's History Month I spoke at a church, and I was like, I was raised by women who would let a whole community, my grandparents let everybody, even my grandparents. I remember growing up and they let anybody come and stay with them.
No, you can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore. Well, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Like, how well do I know you? How long have I known you? Like 10-year minimum. But it's like that type of impact, the way that she was able to like tap into people's hearts and minds, but also feed them in more ways than one. I love stories like that. And then on top of that, she wanted women to carry themselves a certain way. And it wasn't to appease whiteness, because I'm like, you're looking at the times when she was around and active. It wasn't to appease whiteness. It was for us to show up in the ways that she knew we deserve to show up for ourselves. Amen. And the wisdom that she imparted on not just Delta women, but all of the women who crossed paths with her. I'm like, if I have to think about the type of impact I want to make, I feel like I need to study her more as a blueprint. And honestly, she's been one for me. And I've done like just deep dives and just reading every piece I could find on her.
I love it.
So I really say Bertha Pitts Campbell is one. An honorable mention to Dorothy Irene Height.
Yes. Okay. Shout out Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Okay.
I feel like yours is Fanny.
It is. It is. Because, and y'all, sometimes I say stuff that people take the wrong way. So I'm going to put this out there. If I offend anyone by saying this, I know that let me apologize now, because even though it's not my intention, it may be my impact. But I think that I'm a brown-skinned Black woman. Like, I do. Like, because my mother is. And, who is our first hero? Our first hero is our first hero is our mom. And, like, I always want to be my Dee Dee. So I'm like, I might present light-skinned Dee Dee, but in my heart, I am brown-skinned. I bring a very brown-skinned, deeply melanated energy to wherever I am. So yes, it is absolutely Fannie Lou said, listen, that's my favorite person.
I know. I love, and every time I see you post her, every time I see a
What's your favorite quote is one of hers. And they be like, please please leave me alone.
I love to see it coming.
I don't care what publication it is, they're going to hear about her.
I love to see it coming, though.
A quote or two. Like, when they're like, oh, I want to see the table. I'm like, we didn't come all this way for no 2 seats. All of us are tired. All of us are tired.
Right.
Shout out Delta Sigma Theta. Amen. All right. All right.
Oh, that tickled me. Okay.
I'm just going to give you one of mine.
If you ask me a question and if you can still see me, it paused. So I can't see a thing.
I'm back.
Oh, we back.
The devil is a liar.
It is, you know. I figured it was going to be some tech issues. Don't ask me why, but I was just like, we gonna work through it.
Okay, so I will edit this part out. We are still recording, so it is time for the second question. Thank you for staying with me. I don't know what happened. It's the devil. It's the devil definitely being a liar. Okay. As I was saying, I just gave you one of my favorite empowering quotes, but I want to know, what is your favorite empowering quote from a woman that resonates with you and influenced your perspective on women's history and achievements?
That's a difficult question.
Okay.
Because I'm like, so many women, so many quotes, so many thoughts, but I'll land on, and it's on my Instagram page. I posted it before, and it's not even like an official quote from her. It's just an excerpt from a conversation she was having or interview.
Okay.
Nikki Giovanni said, "My responsibility in my life is to grow."
I love
and
that.
I'm like, to me, that speaks to us overcoming anything that's in our way, but also moving ourselves out of our way. Because if we want to achieve things, if we want to make history, if we want to make an impact, how can we do that if we refuse to take action? How can we do that if we're afraid to make mistakes and be seen and have slip ups, or I don't really call them failures, I call them lessons. But how can we do any of that and still want to grow? Like, there's no growth in stagnancy. There's no growth in being comfortable where you are. And there's no growth in complacency. The only way we can grow is to go out and experience things, is to try new things, is to interact with people and, do something that hasn't been done before. And I feel like if women truly want to make an impact, they do have that responsibility to themselves, but I feel like they should also want that responsibility. So I don't know. I just believe in push the limits, actually exceed the limits, like go over, push all the boundaries, do everything that allows you to stretch and come into the form of that final form of the woman that you were designed to be.
I love that.
I think that's my quote.
Another amazing sorrow. I love it.
Okay, I know I'm Delta loaded. I really am.
Hey, don't, and no apologies over here.
It's not intentional. That's the wild part. I'm like, it's not intentional, but I can't help it.
Listen, it's in you. It's in you. It's in you. If you could spend the day shadowing a woman who's in a different profession from your own, who would it be? And what would you hope to learn from her?
Oh, that one, it's between Ava DuVernay and Shonda Rhimes. And while they're in different professions,
they're still in media. Yeah.
They're storytellers.
Yeah.
And, I believe in culture forward storytelling. And I pay attention to the way they structure things, the way they allow or kind of move people to deliver lines and things like that. But I would just kind of hope to learn more about their perspectives on storytelling. Okay. And to me, like, everything in marketing is storytelling. Like, it is telling a compelling story when you're trying to market something to somebody. But again, you have to tap into human emotions. A huge part of marketing is tapping into human emotions. A huge part of networking is tapping into human emotions and making a personal connection with people. So in being with them or being able to shadow them or even just learn from them, I want to know, like, what's in that lens of yours? Like, what's behind your thoughts when you're trying to convey or translate this story into something that people can feel and that people will see and want to talk about or watch years, decades from now. So it's going to be them. And to many people's surprise, I'm like, I'm really into filmmaking. Like, don't be surprised if you see it. Yeah, I'm like, don't be surprised if you see it a couple of months from now. But
just months. Okay.
I mean, because I like to speak things into existence. But it would definitely be them. And then they're Black women, to see Black women's point of view in storytelling, on the levels that we see it from them. And then to hear some of their stories. I read Shonda's book. And I'm like, shame to say, I don't know if Ava has a book, but if Ava has one, I'd buy it. I like to see their perspective on things because I like to get in people's minds. I'm really big on that. And I think people underestimate how much marketing and psychology go hand in hand. So I like to see how, people's behaviors and their actions and how they operate. It kind of allows me to study people a little deeper. Not from a manipulation standpoint, like most marketers, but from a human point of view.
Okay. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway for anyone who didn't watch the last time I asked you. What's your favorite woman-led movie or TV show, and which character do you most identify with?
It's still Khadijah, right? From
Khadijah
Living
James.
Single.
Yes.
I identify with Khadijah in a lot of ways. From her personal relationships with people, from how she had carried her personal relationships with the women in her life and the men in her life, platonic. And then also from a professional standpoint, because in spite of the ups and downs of Flavor Magazine, sis was relentless and was like, I'm not going down without a fight, like no matter what. And I'm like, can we say it's woman-led? I don't know. But we were just talking about it, a different world. Oddly enough, of all characters,
Yeah, well, I think Whitley was the star at the end. Well, so originally Denise was,
right,
but then
right.
I think Whitley was the new Denise, and then they kind of partner her with like a
Yeah.
co-story. But
We'll run with it.
It was woman directed. It was definitely woman
It
directed.
was definitely woman directed. So you know what? We definitely gonna run with it. So I'm gonna say A Different World.
Okay.
And the character, everybody got on my nerves at some point, but
they got on your nerves the least.
Yeah. There are two characters. Kim, for how Kim was always truly focused on her future. And I looked at, eventually she made time for the things around her.
And got a night. What did Whitley say? Got a man out of it.
Got a man. I got Spencer out of the whole bag,
Yes.
And then honestly, it's Freddie, Cree Summers' character. And Freddie was extreme in a lot of ways. Like I don't like when people have their thoughts and like opinions, or they're activists in certain situations and they try to force your hand. Freddie definitely had that approach, but Freddie's thought process and how she approached people was always from a very soulful place. Like it wasn't from the bougie Whitley perspective of like, I like sedity things and I need this to be sedity too. Freddie never necessarily wanted to change people. She wanted people to understand the environment around them and the people around them, and to kind of love on them and nurture them a little more. And I'm like, that's why I don't really like to call her extreme too much. I'm like, she was extreme when she tried to force things, but for the most part, majority of the time, she was passionate, as many Black women are, about the things that they love. So I love that part of Freddie, and I heavily identify with it. And honestly, I'm like, that kind of inspires me. I'm like, I need to feel a little more. I need to feel when it comes to the people around me. I need to be more human, more compassionate, more forgiving, and just allow people to just, allow people to be, allow things to be, but also support in the ways that I can.
Okay. Ooh, what's your guilty pleasure when it comes to indulging in women-centered pop culture, whether it's a reality TV show, a book, a binge-worthy series, a movie, self-care, recreational activity, etc.?
All of my women-related things aren't guilty pleasures.
Oh.
The men-related things
are guilty pleasures.
Are the guilty pleasures. And it's not in like a bad way or anything. Like, for instance, I just posted him on my story. There's a guy named Teddy P on Instagram.
When I tell you, I said this morning after my my Bible reading and stuff, I went and looked up some of his old, because he just makes me smile.
Tell me Teddy P don't bring you joy. Tell me Teddy P does not bring you joy.
He gonna mess around and really get caught up though. He is.
I love Teddy P. I love his content. First of all, I can only imagine
the baby powder. Like, come on now.
The baby powder is so beyond me. The song choices. I'm like, first of all, that man has a great ear. And he's always talked about, he was like his mom. He's like, he only went to church and was in the choir when he was like 5 or 6 or something like that.
You can't tell.
You can't tell, but I was just like, sometimes that's the impact of having a woman in your life, or a mom or a grandmother in your life, who constantly played church music around you or constantly fed you certain information. And I'm like, and it shows you. I mean, you can always tell when somebody has been raised in a church or by somebody who's heavily in the church. And my friend, I said that same thing to one of my friends, and he was just like, or somebody who's just like very into music. He was like, because we have this connection. Black people have this very soulful connection. He was like, it's in us. It's literally a part of us. And I'm like, I get that with Teddy. And the fact that he's this good dude and he just be over here singing his song, praising God, like, and then he'll flip the script and he'll have a whole video. He's just like, listen, man, y'all young dudes out here are going down a path that I was already going down. Like, let's wrap this up and get back to snap out of it, because none of that stuff is helping you. None of the people around you helping you. I'm like, I mean, when you think about that part, I'm like, that's not a guilty pleasure. That's actually like,
no, he is. He makes so many people's day. Like, he is literally saving us. Like, literally bringing generations together. He knows, first of all, he doesn't just know God. He knows every good song.
every good song.
Listen, if I go down his timeline and I see a Mariah song, if you haven't already, Teddy P, please.
Teddy P, was it 90? Is it 904? I feel like he's a Florida boy. I think
I don't know.
Teddy P. It's some numbers after him, but Teddy P.
You'll see him if you're on Instagram. You will see him come from because somehow the algorithm, especially if you're connected to me, I have sent his videos. I sent one this morning. Just so we can have our praise and worship, baby. Like, let's have our praise and worship, everyone. Like, Teddy P is singing in the car again.
Listen, even Fred Hammond had reposted him, and he was so excited about it. I'm like, that's so funny.
Okay.
Like you can see his little kid come out when like certain things. But
did you see the Ricky Dillard one? He said, "Enjoy."
No, I did see that.
All right. We out here did a whole Teddy P commercial during Women's History Month.
I'm telling you, that man is gonna think I'm nuts because I'm a whole Teddy P champion out in these streets.
Yes. Okay. All right. Guilty pleasure. All right. I'll allow it because you mentioned his mama and I love him. I love you, Teddy P, in a platonic way.
Right.
All right. What is the best piece of career advice you've received from another woman?
Oh man. That's a hard one, actually.
Oh,
I've been influenced by women, but career-wise, I don't think I've had a lot of conversations with women. Like in terms of like mentorship and guidance, I don't think I've had a lot of conversations. But one, I did have a conversation with somebody a few years ago, and we were talking about podcasts, and she was just kind of guiding me like through I guess the structure of it. And I told her, I was like, I want to podcast again. I want to keep going, but I want to approach it in a different way. And she just kind of gave me, I can't specifically say what she said, but she kind of gave me some guidance. I'm like, I can't say what the guidance is. It sucks. I can't say what the guidance is, but she was kind of trying to show me that there are different ways to go about it in ways that still allow me to show up as myself. Yeah. And I can say a lot of the women that I have spoken to about my career, I think the conversations always go that way. They encourage me to show up as myself, and none of them asked me to hide myself, or I talked about code switching in a recent video. None of them encouraged me to code switch. They don't encourage me to shrink. Good. So I really do appreciate those types of conversations that I've had and the guidance I've received in terms of just being me, because I feel like I've always just kind of been me, but I definitely had a whole imposter. Really? Like a few imposter years. Yeah. I'm like, child, don't let me go back and look at a old video I made that's in my archive, some Black Woman Hustle. And I'm like, girl, who the hell is this? Like, who... What is this tone? Like, what is this like?
Oh, I see that.
It's giving Whitney. Like, who is that? Yeah, like it was bad. But I'm just like, I appreciate the people who came back to me and was just like, I don't like it. Like that's not who I get to talk to. That's not who women get to see on a daily when they meet you in person. They don't get that.
I love it. Yeah. Okay. How should individuals and communities actively participate in amplifying the voices and visibility of women, specifically Black women, beyond the month of March?
Listen to them without interrupting, without disrupting. Don't force them to compromise. Understand that when Black women are advising you, especially from a passionate place, 10 times out of 10, they're always right. And saving your ass in the process.
I love it.
Whether you credit them or not, they are definitely doing that. But I think listening is the biggest thing. Because we know what we're talking about. We see things, we see other people when other people don't see us. And when people actually choose to listen to us, they understand like we haven't got it wrong yet. I can't call a time where I'm just like, you know what, that Black woman was wrong. Like Like, no, we usually get it right when we are trying to make changes in the world and truly impact people. And I think it shows even in this conversation that we've had, the women we talked about, a lot of people tried to paint them out as enemies at some point or another, or wanted to stop the movements that they were creating. And was it wrong?
No.
But no, you get saved in the process of us just being us and us doing us.
Yeah,
so
no, that's right.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
Like y'all just say thank you. Well,
yeah. Ooh, this is always a fun one. We just talked about Teddy P, but what is your go-to songs, or music genre when you want to hype yourself up to conquer the day?
I have a vibe out playlist.
Okay.
So I have plenty of songs. When I want to conquer the day, or especially when I have events or something like that, Electric Lady by Janelle Monáe featuring Solange. The energy is just there. And I'm like, you think about it, Janelle Monáe, Solange, freedom magnified. Like, it's them. They're two of the most authentic people I think you'll see on social media or in media, period. But yeah, I have a vibe out playlist, and that one is more oldies. I'm an old soul. I was raised by great grandparents, parents, uncles, like aunts, great aunts. So Phyllis Hyman.
Shut your mouth.
Shut.
Because people don't listen. I think every guest has so far that I've talked to for Women's History Month has mentioned something about Philadelphia. And I'm like,
really? I mean, but you think about it, the culture, like if somebody ever decides to do, it would be like one of those old school encyclopedia collections. You know what I mean? Like Philly is rich.
Yes.
Like rich, untouchably rich. So Phyllis is there. I'm like, can I say Africa Bambaataa? Planet Rock is on there.
You like Planet Rock?
Girl, that's a family song. We play that family song and everybody like hit the floor and move. Like just move, let the family.
Is that Before I Let Go?
You know what? Oddly enough, we don't play it a lot. And my family loves Frank. Frankie's on my wall. I cried for a week after Frankie Beverly died, by the way. I love Frank. I'm like, I love music. I'm like, people don't understand how much I love music. But Frankie's actually, he's not on that list because Frankie has his own list.
Okay.
But I'm like, Africa Bambaataa, Phyllis Hyman. I definitely have Ain't My Type of Hype. Who else? Kenny Burke, Rising to the Top. I'm like, girl, I could go on. Like I have, it's just like a vibe playlist. Stephanie Mills and Teddy,
Pendergrass.
Like it's just like songs that make me want to get up and just dance. And that's exactly what I do. I'll put it on. I'm like, before I even get started, open my windows, cut a rug for about 20, 30 minutes. And then
I love it.
I sit down and I'm like, all right, girl, turn it off. Like
all right. Ooh, if you wrote a book describing your career so far, what would the title be? Clean Up Your Mess and Make Room for Your Gifts. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So you got concerned for a minute?
No, because I was like, clean up your mess. I was like, ooh. Right. I was like, no, like, ma'am.
I mean, excuse you. No, it would be like clean up your mess and make room for your gifts, because I feel like I made a lot of mistakes. Like I made a lot of, I say mistakes, but you know what? Now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't want to call them mistakes.
Okay.
I've grown from experience. I've grown from experiences. And all of those experiences, good or bad, happy or sad, have required me to really look at my mess. And I have a saying, I don't even know if I can say it on here. I'm a cursor. Like, sit in your shit is what I like to call it. I say that to people in regular life, like the people I'm close to. I'm like, sometimes you really do have to sit in it and realize I made this mess.
Yes.
I have to clean this. Like we talked about accountability earlier. Nobody else can clean up this mess but me. It's nobody else's responsibility but mine. So I literally like to think about life like that in all of my situations in business as well. It's like, you have to clean this up. Nobody else can do it but you. And then after you do that, what is it that you want? What is it that you desire? Like we talked about earlier, I'm like, all of my stuff ties together. Like with not doing the things that I no longer want to do, I'm not about to keep cluttering my space with things that I know don't look good, that don't feel good. I'm going to make room for the things I want to do. I'm going to start taking courses on this specific topic because I know it's something I want to focus on. I want to be able to have conversations about this and, hear other people's perspectives on it. So clean up your mess.
Clean up your mess and make room for your gifts.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Before I let you go, and before they kick me out of here again, what upcoming projects, initiatives, and fun things should we be on the lookout for? And then also, please let folks know where they can follow your work, connect with you, hire you, all of those things.
First of all, I appreciate the emphasis on the hire. What's upcoming? I can't say, but I will say it's different for those who don't know me personally. Yeah, it'll be different for those who don't know me personally, but people who know me won't be surprised at all. Like it'll just be like, okay, we with it. Like let's go. Like let's go. But yeah, that, and I'm like, anything else is, I'm just rolling with what feels right in 2025. So yeah, I'm like, I can't give too much detail, but you can find me at Lashawn Dreher on most platforms. At Lashawn Dreher is my handle, Instagram, Threads, hell, YouTube. And then creativemarketingco.com for marketing strategies, experiential marketing, and some design. And also LashawnDreher.com if you want to connect with me personally and learn more information about me.
Yes, so I have enjoyed our conversation as always. I even learned some new things. I am going to be on the lookout for what's next, making sure that I keep connected to your newsletter and see those I like to get my emails when I see something come from. I'm like, oh, she doing something else? Let me see what she's doing. So I can stay in the know. I'm going to be on the cusp.
I appreciate it. Yes, I'm not a frequent emailer either. I'm like, I like to do,
which is what I love. Because like I said, when I see, I'm like, oh, this must be important. Let me go ahead. But yes, I am so grateful to you as always for sharing your gifts here and for reminding us to clean up our messes and just for being you and being inspiring. You are amazing. Everybody go follow her, hire her. And we will see you next time on Tribe Chat, Women's History Month. The new She Suite, Trap Queens Redefining Success. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Kirsten.